had beagle hounds. Some of my favorite tunes went. You ever listen to that beagle music? Oh, it's sweet. And then I had an old coon hound. He was half Rhodesian Ridgeback and half blue tick. Oh man, that's good music. Only he had an affinity for skunks. He liked to kill skunks by shaking them to death. And then he was so proud of himself, he'd bring them to me and drop them at my feet. And that meant I had to leave my clothes on the clothesline before I went in the house that night. He loved those skunks, but my mom didn't at all. So we did a lot of that too. And then on our trap line, we had 3 different places where we saw flocks of over 200 turkeys in the flock in the wintertime. And we'd see 600 turkeys every day. Now, one of those flocks was on the Drury farm over in Bloomsdale. And I don't know if any of you watch the Outdoor Channel or Pursuit or Sports, but there's a couple boys from Bloomsdale, Missouri that make their living now hunting and doing TV. They're called the Drury Brothers. They started their little company called Drury Outdoors, Mark and Terry Drury. They were 10 miles, drove 10 miles from my house. And them little boys were about this high when my dad was trapping that place, catching coyotes and bobcats. They had one flock of over 30 gobblers. They had 100 deer. They grew up in St. Genevieve County in the middle of lots of deer and turkey. It's just no surprise they have to make their living hunting and doing television now. But that's where I came from, 10 miles from them, and the world's best turkey callers are right there within 3 counties. I grew up with all of them going to turkey calling contests. That was kind of fun. But what got me excited about calling, one evening when I was 4, heading back from my dad's trapping partner's fur shed. We had been dyeing our traps in October, getting ready for fur season. We were headed back through the Platte Valley. And my dad liked to call predators at night with a light. Now, they won't let you do that in Missouri anymore because people tend to shoot deer at night with a spotlight, and they made it illegal to have a spotlight and a gun. Then they made it illegal just to shine a spotlight. I thought, how can it be illegal to shine a light at night? You don't need it in the day. But it is. And so back then it wasn't because there wasn't enough deer that people would spotlight. So we would use this light, and now you use a red light. You get a 2 million candle power red light. But then we had a yellow light. We put a piece of yellow film over a headlight. And we'd pull into that field, and we'd use these calls, the Burnham Brothers fox calls. And it simulates the sound of a dying rabbit. Now, how many people in here have ever heard a rabbit scream for its life? Raise your hand real high so we can see all the people that have tortured defenseless bunnies. Yeah, look at those guys. You wouldn't think. I mean, and they come to church. You know, look at that. Yeah. Well, if a hawk or an owl swoops down and grabs that rabbit, or a fox or coyote or bobcat grabs that rabbit, they all say the same thing. They scream. It's supposed to be sad. The poor little rescue screaming for his life.
It sounds funny.
See, if you use that predator call, you go out there and blow and go. There's really not a lot of urgency in that situation. See, you have to get the feeling in there, the inflection. So it's desperate. And usually, that fox or coyote will be right there in 5 minutes or less. You stay 15, 20 minutes, nothing shows up. You might as well move to another place. Because they're going to come right away. When they hear that, they know they got to get there fast. And if they do, free lunch. Free lunch. So here they come. So here I was with my little fox call, 4 years old. My dad's standing there with the spotlight. I'm standing there in the cornfield. He's shining out there. And look, and there are these big yellow eyes. They look about that big around the spotlight. And they're coming in like this. Whoa, there he is, there he is. And he went right up there, and he stopped up there at about 30, 40 yards. And he stopped. His dad said, switch to the other call, the short range call, one you put in there and bite on it and go. Little squeaker call, and he comes closer. And he gets about 10 steps, and Dad says, switch to the mouse squeaker. And it's this little squeezy thing like comes in baby dolls, you know. And you squeeze that little thing, and it goes. The fox runs up, and he's right there, looking him right in the eye. I'm 4 years old, looking him right in the eyes. Wow. I said, you gonna shoot it, Dad? You gonna shoot it? Because the fox looks bigger than me. And he says, no. Quit calling. He said, we're going to leave him until trapping season. He'll be worth more. That was my first lesson in conservation. You see, wise use of the resource. That red fox wasn't worth anything in October, but come trapping season, he's worth $1.25. They weren't selling very high back then. $1.25, that'd be 50 cents for a possum anytime, see? And so we let him go a little farther, and he started to turn around and walk over there, and Dad says, son, hit that call again. He turned around, came right back. Dad said, okay, quit now. Let him go. He goes out there, and he says, hit that call again. Turned around, came right back. Like 5 times, he called that fox right back. He finally said, okay, you did good, let him go. Well, that showed me right there that you could change an animal's behavior. You could make that fox that you didn't even know was there come all the way up here and look you in the eye. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. That's a wild animal. I didn't even know he was there. And I got him to come right here where I can look at him up close. Most of the time, I was used to seeing an animal, and they see you, and they run off. I said, this is pretty cool. Make him run to me. So, the next year when I was 5, that's when I got hooked on calling. We went turkey hunting. See, we hadn't had a turkey season since 1936. The spring of 1960, they opened it. They just started restocking them from turkeys in the Ozarks out to other counties. In 1954, the year I was born, they knew I was on my way. They put them 10 miles from my house. And they said we hope to start opening the season 5 years after we release them. And so 1960, we were having our first statewide, well, not statewide, I guess it is now, our first turkey season in the state in 13 counties. 3 days. 10 miles from my house. Every day we saw 600. We got excited. We thought we'd be able to find one. We knew when there were 600. Good chance of finding them. But we didn't know anything about hunting turkeys because nobody did. If they did, they couldn't tell you. There were some old boys in parts of Missouri that knew all about it, but they couldn't tell you because some of them never quit. They was still getting turkey for Thanksgiving dinner, but it wasn't legal. So we studied up, and then back then, there was not a lot of information on how to hunt turkeys. Now there are books and magazines and television shows just about turkey hunting. You can go to the sporting goods store and find racks of turkey calls, camouflage, everything you need. If you bought it all, you sound like a chuck wagon going through the woods. Because I've heard some of those. You probably, it's hard to carry it all with you. There's so much stuff now. Back then, 1 article Outdoor Life for Field and Stream. That was it, March or April issue. 1 story from a good old boy from Alabama, Mississippi. That's all you had. Every one of them said you need to get a wing bone yelper to call an old gobbler.